Welcome back to the channel. This is lesson 7 of SAM fundamentals. I will be going over the Blue 4 air defenses systems like the Avenger, Skyguard, Hawk, Stinger, and more. We usually play against Redfor defenses and never really have the chance to get acquainted with some of our own air defense systems. I am not an expert, and these are just my experiences in BMS. None of these maneuvers are set in stone. It will always depend on the situation. This is going to be the last video of the SAM Reaction Fundamental series. I truly appreciate all the support and comments from the other videos. It gives me feedback on the quality of my content. Keep those comments coming. Check out the description for chapters in my Aviation Plus store where all purchases directly support the channel. And as always, like, comment, and subscribe. See ya! So first on the list is the Avenger. It's on the blue side of SAMs and surface-to-air threats and defenses. So the Avenger, it's an optical, infrared, all-aspect missile. Basically like the AIM-9X. It could shoot from the front and from all aspects. So minimum range is 0 to 50 feet, so basically 0, 0. Typical engagement is 4 nautical miles and 10,000 feet, so if you're above 10,000 feet, you should be good. The maximum range of the missiles is 20,000 feet, so just to be safe, be above 20,000 feet. Uses the Stinger missile, same thing as the Stinger man-pad handheld rocket. So with this, like with any IR missiles, is to reduce throttles and to flare, break turn 7 to 9 Gs. So as I said, the mobile SHORAD burn through range doesn't matter because it's an infrared. Flare vulnerability is very low, so try not to get launched by this because flare is not gonna spoof it. IR all aspect and it takes lead on its target. Maximum velocity of the missile is 2.3, 1500 knots. Radar lock range is not applicable because it's a infrared sensing missile. So next is the Chaparal. The Chaparal is also at IR, but it's rear only. So it could still shoot from the front aspect, but not as well as rear. It's not all aspect like the Avenger. So the minimum range is 0, 0, typical engagement 0.2, 100 feet, and the maximum range is 1.4 to 3,100 feet. So if you're above, I would say 4 to 5,000 feet, you should be okay with this missile here, this threat, ground threat. But just definitely always try not to be below like 5,000 feet or below 10,000 feet, just to make sure you set a hard deck. So it uses the AIM-9 Delta or MIM-72 Alpha. Maintain high speed, jink, missile loses energy very fast, no radar shown on RWR. So as I said, it's an IR rear missile. So make sure you're looking out on the ground and not get too low. Mobile SHORAD, not applicable. Flare vulnerability is high. So if you put your throttle to idle, do some flares, it should spoof it and it should miss you. IR rear aspect, and it's a pure pursuit when it comes to its target. Maximum velocity is only 1.2, about 800 knots. So as it says here, the missile loses energy very fast. So if you get a visual on it, make sure you idle and flare and try to get away from it, get out of the threat ring. Next will be the Skyguard. So we're going to go over the Skyguard here. Going to go over the radar first. So the radar the Skyguard uses is a P with a dot underneath. So don't get this mixed up with the Patriot, which is a P with no dot. So this is a P with one dot underneath. It's a Skyguard radar. So the tracking Skyguard radar is used for the Skyguard, which we'll go over in a second. Radar lock range, both of them are both 13 nautical miles. The search radar is 13, fire control is 13. Minimum altitude 0 feet. The missile is not applicable because it's a radar site. So destroy and neutralize the Skyguard site by destroying the Skyguard radar. SAM and AAA fire control radar. So it uses both SAM and the AAA fire control. Type towed radar. It can be moved around. ECM burn through range is 4 nautical miles. Flare vulnerability is medium. So you could pop off for about 5 or so flares. It should spoof it a little bit. Band system is the India band. Initial is semi-active radar homing, so just like any other SAM site, it's a semi-active radar homing, so it has to lock on to the target to hit it. Target at once it could lock onto is one target, azimuth 120, elevation 90 degrees. So the Skyguard uses the Gaurd Radar, uses the P with the dot underneath. Minimum range of missiles 0-0. Typical engagement 8 nautical miles to 20,000 feet. So if you're above 20,000 feet, moreover 23,000 feet, you should be okay and without getting hit by this SAM here. But you'll definitely see something on your RWR, so you just check a look at your altitude and make sure you're above that. So 8 nautical miles typically, 20,000 feet typically. Maximum range of the missiles 11 nautical miles and 23,000 feet. So this has no smoke. It's smoke for a little bit at the beginning and then it disappears. So slice, break, turn, 7 Gs, chaff, beam, split S, and turn away. Drag to max range. So you could drag out away from it and it should slow down the missile pretty quick because it only goes 1.6. So the type is towed mobile SHORAD. Well, not mobile, it's towed. ECM burn through range is 4 nautical miles, 20,000 feet. Chaff vulnerability is low. The pursuit is lead, and the terminal locking is semi-active radar homing as well. So it needs to have lock to be able to hit the target. It needs to have a constant lock. Search radar and fire control are basically the same, so it's 13 nautical miles for both. And that is it for the Skyguard. Moving on to the M2A2. Go up a little bit. So the M2A2 ADATS, it's a IR all-aspect missile. Minimum range is 0-50 feet. So basically the ground. Typical engagement 4 nautical miles, 10,000 feet. Max range of the missile is 4.1 and 20,000 feet. Uses the Stinger missile as well. To avoid and evade this is reduced throttles, flare, brake turn, 7 and 9 Gs. Mobile SHORAD, burn through range not applicable because it's an infrared missile. Flare vulnerability is very low, and it uses IR all aspect, shoot from the front and the back and the side, above, below. It could shoot at you any direction. It takes lead once it shoots, and the maximum velocity is 2.3, so it's a little quicker. You might not be able to get away from that, so it's because it's a little bit quicker on that. But just make sure you're above 20,000 feet for this as well, for most of these. So you can just stay away from it at all possible. Next is the KSAM, which is usually used by Korea, South Korea. So it does come up on RWR because it has a radar site. The Daewoo radar has a C on the RWR. Minimum range of the missile is 0-0. Typical engagement is 5 miles, 10,000 feet. Maximum range of the missile is 8 miles, 27,000 feet. But it very rarely shoots it when you're above 20,000 or so. So if you're above 20,000, you should be okay. 1 missile per target, no smoke, slice down, 7 to 9 Gs, chaff times 6, turn away, very low to the ground, launch warning varies. So this may or may not give you a launch warning. It also uses FLIR and EOTS, so it has a forward-looking infrared, so it basically uses infrared, and electrical optical tracking system, so it could basically track onto you without the need of its radar. SHORAD, TELR, so that means that each individual vehicle has its own radar. So if you destroy one, and there's, however, for example, 4 of them, there's 3 other radars that can still shoot you. So you need to destroy all of them to eliminate this KSAM threat. ECM burn through range is 7 miles. Chaff vulnerability is medium. So it leads the target once it gets launched at. And the maximum velocity is 3.1. The search radar and fire control is both 10 nautical miles. So here's the Mistral. It is handheld, so you won't have any RWR threats. Minimum range of the missile is 0-0. Typical engagement 3 nautical miles or 10,000 feet. Max range 3 miles, 18,000 feet. So if you stay above 20,000, you should be okay. If you happen to get launched by it, 6 to 7 Gs, slice down across launcher, then dive away. There's no smoke to it, so be very, very careful. Flare vulnerability is very low, so just do the best you can to flare as much as you can and try to get away from this threat. It takes lead on the target once it gets launched at, and the maximum velocity is 1.7. So it's still pretty quick, so you might have to do a little bit more turning than usual when it comes to this IR threat here. So going up one to the Stinger, which is used by the majority of the U.S. It is handheld, so manpad, no RWR threats, optical, IR, and all aspect. Minimum range is 050. Typical engagement is 4 nautical miles, 10,000 feet. Max range of the missile is 4.1, 20,000 feet. So as I said again, if you're above your ground, your floor over there in the mission, you should be okay. So above 20,000 feet. If you do happen to get launched by it, reduce throttles, flare, brake 7 to 9 Gs, even though it is very low on the flare vulnerability, but all you can do is try. Is the mobile manpad, very low flares vulnerability. It takes lead on the target once it gets launched at, and the max velocity is 2.3, so it's a little quick. So I might have to just not get launched by this thing, because it's pretty dangerous. So there's one more. It is called the LAV-AD right here. It's called the LAV-AD. There's no RWR emitters from it, so you won't see it on RWR. This has IR and laser guided missiles, so that's very interesting. So just right off the bat, stay above 20,000 feet, you should be okay. Minimum range 0 to 50 feet. Typical engagement 4 nautical miles, 10,000. Maximum range 4.1, 20,000. So to stay above 20,000, you should be okay. Again, if you get launched by it, reduce throttles, flare, brake 7 to 9 Gs, and make sure that you're not below that, because that's very bad. Flare vulnerability is very low. Gun range, it does have guns, is 8,000 feet. It takes lead on the target, IR all aspects, so keep aware of that. It could shoot from in front of you and the side. Doesn't have to be from the rear aspect. And the velocity is 2.3, so it's pretty quick. So the K200 is A with 2 dots. It's also the other sights, so be careful what you're up against. So it uses a radar, has an A with 2 dots. Search radar and fire control is 6 nautical miles. Maximum range of the guns is 2 nautical miles and about 10,000 feet. If you are getting shot by this vehicle, maintain high speed jink. It's used mostly by the Republic of Korea. These are the other variants of vehicles. The mobile SHORAD flare vulnerability is nothing, but it does have guns, so it's a AA gun deterrent. It'll have tracers going by your canopy. And lastly is the M183, the Vulcan 20mm cannon. It is range only and optical, so there's no RWR from it. So it uses it for range. It doesn't really come up on RWR for the F-16. Max range of guns is 2 nautical miles, 10,000 feet. So minimum range is basically 0 to shoot at you if you're touching it. The M67 is a towed variant, but this is the tracked mobile variant. Supposed to have radar, but doesn't appear on RWR, like I said. Mobile SHORAD, chaff vulnerability is nothing. Gun caliber is 20 nautical miles. And that is mostly it. That is it for all the blue. And then lastly, we'll go to the Hawk, which is used mostly by either Korea, South Korea, or United States. So down here is the Hawk, uses the MPQ-46 Hawk radar, semi-active radar homing. Minimum range of the missile is 0.5, 200-foot launch, 0-foot track. Typical engagement is between 9 and 12 nautical miles, 44,000 feet. So it is a very high, it reaches very high on the altitude scale, and you'll see it as a H on your RWR. Make sure you try to get away from that because you don't want to be near it. Max range of the missiles, 18 to 39 nautical miles, 62,000 feet. Uses the MIM-23 Hawk missile. Hump 5G slice if you are unfortunately launched by this terrible SAM here. Terrifying SAM. ECM works. Chaff 90% of the time doesn't work. I've done it before. Beam/split S, chaff turn away 50%. 6G barrel roll is about 50% chance. This is a towed SAM. It does have home-on jamming, 8 to 10 miles if you're able to get near it. Chaff vulnerability is medium, so you can pop off some chaff. It is possible to get away from it. The pursuit is lead once it shoots at a target, and the max velocity of the missile is 2.5. The search radar is 33. The fire control is 19 and 33. So with this, you'll actually see a couple of different radar sites on here. and it is right here. So you'll see like 46 and 50 and 55. You'll see different radar sites for this site here. So, but here are some of the sites that it uses. The search radar here, search radar, 36 nautical miles. It could see you. The part of a group of radars, and it has these other radars right here. As I said, 51, not implemented, but it has 55. 46 will come up on your RWR, and 50 and 55 will all come up on your RWR as it switches through the different radars. ECM burn through range is 25 nautical miles. Chaff vulnerability is high, but this is not what it uses to shoot at you. It only uses to search out other targets in the distance. But the radar that it does use is the IHawk radar. Fire control 19 to 33 nautical miles. Launch is 200 feet, track 0 feet. To destroy this Hawk site, you have to destroy the radar first. Fire control tone at 19 nautical miles first time in, 33 nautical miles second time, part of a group of radars as well as the 50 and the 55. So it'll switch between 50, 55, and Hawk. It'll just switch it back and forth through those things as you get farther and closer to the site. So this has an ECM burn through range 8 to 10 nautical miles, and it does have home on jamming. Chaff vulnerability is medium, uses the Juliet band system. It also uses the semi-active radar homing. Targets can lock on to one target at a time, or launch at one target at a time, azimuth 120 and elevation 90 degrees. That is it for the Blue 4 surface-to-air sites and threats, and let's go ahead and get on into 3D. I'll see you in the cockpit. Alright, we're about 18 miles outside of this Avenger mobile IR site, talking about the Blue SAMs now. So this Avenger is a all-aspect IR site. It's a mobile Humvee, and the maximum range is about 20,000 feet. Typical engagement is 10,000 feet. So we'll see if we can get it to shoot here. First I have to find it, and then I'll see if we can get it to shoot at us. And basically dodging or evading this missile is just to go to idle and pop off some flares, and it should spoof the missile to go somewhere else. In theory. It's not always the case, but that's the best you could do it in a situation. See if I can find it on the TGP. There they are. So I've found them on the TGP. Lock them up here. So their typical engagement is 10,000 feet, so I'm going to go down to their 10,000 feet. But their max range of the missiles is 20,000 feet, so be careful when you're around these things. So if you're above 20,000 feet, you should be okay, but always be cognizant of what your altitude is. There's a launch. Go idle. Flare out. See if it hits me still. It does hit me still. Alright. So next I'll do maneuvers next time. There's another one. Do some maneuvers, and I dodged that one from maneuvers. So seems like you got to maneuver to get away from this. Don't just keep on flying. So with these infrared SAMs, as you can see, there's no warning. It just starts shooting at you. So you always gotta keep your head on a swivel so you can be able to see that large puff of smoke there. See, there's the smoke. I see it. Do some maneuvers, and I dodged it. You go to idle, and then flares, and it should get away from it. As you can see in the RWR is a P with a dot between it. That's the Skyguard. And the Skyguard is 11 nautical mile distance or range. That circle right there is about 11 nautical miles. And distance, or the height it could shoot, is roughly 0 to 20,000 feet. And that's the typical range for the Skyguard there. And it does have a radar, so the best thing to do is to pop off chaff and to maneuver so it could have a harder time hitting you. There's a launch, you see it right there. And I'm just going to go down to the deck. Chaff, flare. Pop off some flares, or chaff. and try to get underneath it.
Pull up. Pull up.
And there it went.
Chaff. Flare.
There's another launch. Gonna get away from it, trying to get away.
Chaff. Flare.
Dodged it on that one. And I dodged it. So I'm gonna stay under this terrain here. That's cool. South Korea, that one city on the edge of the thing. That's cool. Then on the other side, North Korea is supposed to have the same thing but bigger, allegedly. All right, I'm gonna come back around. Oh, there it is. There's the town in North Korea that's no one in it, just for show. There's a bigger flag in real life. And then there's the South Korea town that has the same flag as well. That's the rivalry between North and South Korea. I didn't know that was in this game. Didn't know that was in Falcon. Alright, let's see if I can see this site now. Yeah, that's it right here. It's not shooting at me, that's weird. There's a shot. So there goes the missile.
Flare.
I'll go over here.
Chaff. Flare.
And it hit me on that one. I'll continue blowing away from it. Another launch.
Chaff. Flare.
There's some flare or chaff, and it lost me. Get underneath this terrain here. I'm gonna reset. I'm gonna go back up to above 15,000 feet and flow cold. There's a launch. I'm going to go into burn.
Chaff. Flare.
Chaff right here.
Chaff. Flare.
Chaff again.
Chaff.
Trying to pull it. Some pretty good turning radius on the thing. It was a little hard to get away from it with bombs. I'm gonna do that again. Come back around and reset. Here, back at 15,000 feet. Do the same thing. I'm gonna flow away from it. See if that helps at all. A slice turn 7Gs away from it, so in this case it'll be to the right. There's a launch. Full burn.
Chaff. Flare.
5Gs going away from it. And it actually didn't track on that one. Turn back around. There's a launch. Full burn.
Chaff. Flare.
It's 5G turn away from it.
Chaff. Flare.
Still coming to get me. And it hit me. This thing, this all depends how close you are and how far away from you are and stuff like that. So that being said, it's good to not get launched by these SAMs. And I would say with that, might have to use terrain masking. If not, try to defend the moment you hear the launch. It seems to get confused if the moment you get launched at, you break away and you do some chaff. Seems like that kind of spoofs it up a little bit there. Alright, so here we are 20 miles away from the Hawk at a general cruise altitude, or if you're coming in to attack. So this has multiple radars. There's a search radar and the fire control radar. The search radars is the 50 and the 55, but when the fire control radar comes on, it's a H, so matching the Hawk. So if you see an H on there, it means it's about to shoot. So you're pretty close to it, and you should probably get out of there. I'm gonna see if I could find the Hawk site here. I think it's right here. Yep, there's the site. There's the radar site. There's some launchers right there. I'm gonna keep an eye on this launcher right here. So you see the Hawk right there comes up, so that means I'm pretty close. As you can see, I'm inside the ring right here. So I have jettisoned my bombs because you're unable to get away from this thing without being in Cat 1 to have a possibility of getting away from it. There's a launch. So I'm just going to immediately start defending
Flare.
and try to flow away from it. This missile is super fast. So I'll see if I can flow away from this missile.
Flare.
Kind of serpentine it back and forth.
Altitude.
See if I can slow it down.
Flare.
I was able to get away from it that time because I basically pulled it out of its range and it slowed down enough to actually explode. This has a lot of notes in the notes in the Vault Teespring by Teespring. Basically, it says to pump at least 5 Gs, slice it, ECM, but it does have home on jamming, so be careful of that. Chaff 90%, so about use 90% chaff when you're maneuvering. Even though the chaff vulnerability is medium, so that's why you want to use a lot of chaff for that. But that last one I just basically, since I was on the outskirts of the Hawk site, I just pulled it outside of its weapons deployment zone, and it seemed to have bled off the energy and exploded. I'm going to go back in here, 20,000 feet, a little lower this time, but still at a reasonable cruising altitude, depending on your mission. As you can see, you got the 55 there and the 50, so those are the 2 search radars. Then once the H comes up, that means it's pretty close to you. On that, I pulled 6.3 Gs on that maneuverability right there. So right now, I'm gonna try to stay within the ring, try to maneuver it via, try to evade it via maneuvers. Try to keep an eye on it. The best case scenario. I'll cycle my jammer as well. There's a launch. There's a jammer. Jammer didn't work. I'm going to turn the jammer off now. I'm going to dive down, see if I can maneuver this by, or evade this by maneuvers.
Altitude. Altitude. Flare.
I'm going to pull. There's 8 Gs. Got away from it then. So if you pull 8 Gs or so, seems like it gets you away from it. That's on my right side. I had to pull just about 9 Gs to get away from that missile. I'll try it again. Reset back up to 20,000 feet. So I'm turning back around to 20,000 feet for this Hawk. And I would have to say that the worst area for you to be is right above it, I would say. Usually it'll wait till you're right above the site till it shoots. I'm going to simulate the being right above it. I would say in that case just try to see if you can flow away from it. As it's acquiring you, there's a launch right there.
Flare.
You turn over, see the launch right there. Flow away from it. Try to get visual again. Get some speed on the way down. As you're getting that speed, start pulling on the stick.
Altitude.
See if you can get away from it. And nope, was not able to get away from that one. But about 5,000. So there's a launch right there. It's going to gain some speed. Best is to float toward it.
Flare.
If I can flow above it. Nope, wasn't able to get that one. Another launch.
Flare. Low.
Ran out of chaff though. Unable to get away from that either. So when it's close, it's super hard to get away from. If I can get below the terrain mask. Got away from it that time. Yeah, that's it for the Hawk. I'll have to restart this mission and come back in and with more fuel. So I'll see you in a little bit. And we're back. So this time, moved on next to the M2A2 ADATS, which is basically the same thing as an Avenger, but it's has a little bit different heights. So this one typical is 0 to 4 nautical miles and 10,000 feet. So it's about the same as the Avenger, but it has very little vulnerability when it comes to flares. So this site has both Avengers and the M2A2, so we'll have to just decipher which one is which, but they're both basically the same, minus the flare vulnerability is lower when it comes to the M2A2. Yeah, this is it right here. So M2A2 TV. This is the M2A2 right there, tracked vehicle. Another one right there. So I'm going to continue forward towards them and see if I can get the M2A2 to launch something. Going to my, oh, there's one right there. I'm going to go to idle, and actually didn't even track.
Flare.
Might have been the Avenger right there. Oh, there's a launch right there. So idle,
Flare.
and it misses. A quick one. I wonder what that is. There's a launch. Go to idle, do some flares, and it misses. Sweet. Back at 3,500 feet. Gonna reset and fly over the moving mud again. Hopefully that A2, the M2A2 shoots at me. Or M2A2 shoots at me again. There's the man pad. Didn't even track to anything. The man pad. So I'm gonna go to idle.
Flare. Chaff. Flare.
Do some flares, and it misses. Alright, well, there's a few of them there, so make sure you go to idle and snap to idle and pop off some flares. Oh!
Chaff. Flare. Chaff. Flare.
Oh, that one hit me. That was definitely an M2A2. See how many flares I popped out? I didn't even care. Alright, here's the KSAM, about 8 miles away from the KSAM, represented by the sky here. The distance of the KSAM is 0 to 5 nautical miles is a typical engagement zone for it, but it can reach all the way up to 27. So you see this C right here? That is actually the KSAM TELR missile site, where TELR means that each individual vehicle has its own radar. So if you just take out one of the radars, you'll still have however many still there. So if I can get a visual of it. I gotta see him right here. Nope. Alright, where's the launch at? Oh, there's the launch, so I see him right there. Back in the infrared or radar mode. Gonna do some flare, some chaff, and he's hit me there, I guess. There's one that hit me. This one's coming in. It goes away fast. Well, these things are really fast. So I would say, see if you could get down below the deck. Seem to have gotten away from that one.
Pull up. Pull up.
Oh, nope, right there. And it hit me on that one. Alright, I'm gonna jettison these bombs so I can get into Cat 1. Alright, so I know it's in the between there. There it is. There's a C. There's a launch. I'm gonna go over here to terrain mass if I can even get over here quick enough. I don't think I will be able to. And it hits me. Yeah, it's super fast. So KSAMs, I'll just avoid these at all possible, because they seem like they're very hard to get away from. On here it says slice down 7 to 9 Gs, chaff 6x6 turn away, very low, launch warning varies. So you might get a launch warning, you might not get a launch warning. I'm gonna try it one more time. If I can get at 10,000 feet and do the the recommended maneuvers there. I'm going to pull 9 Gs, see if I can get away from this thing. Slice down 9 Gs, turn away very low. Alright. I'll put it in Cat 1, even though it's probably not going to like it.
Caution. Caution.
So flying around, see the launch, pulling 9 Gs, pulling as much as the jet will let me. Pulling away to get underneath this mountain here. Seemed like I got away from that one. Was only able to pull 6.1 Gs on that engagement. I'm gonna reset again to 10,000 feet. I'm gonna come back around and do it again. So I'm back higher, trying to get up to 10,000 feet. So these missiles are very fast. The speed of those missiles are Mach 3, so they get to you really quick. So there's basically zero chance of you getting away from it, chromatically wise. As a launch, I'm gonna go straight down, slice away. Only pulling 4 Gs on that. If I can get away from it. Pulling more Gs. I think I got away from it. I pulled maximum Gs on that. I think I got away from both, I think. Alright, I'm gonna do one more. If you happen to be a poor soul really close to the site here, and you get launched at, try to do the same tactics as to brake hard and chaff and see if you can get away from it. As a launch, break away from it, pulling 7 Gs, 6 Gs. I think I got hit on that one. Still trying to get away from it. And it hit me. So I'm going to do the same thing again, but I'm going to turn into it. It's probably never a good idea, because you'll just get closer. When it comes to the SAMs like this, the other SA2 and stuff, then yeah, you should probably turn into it. A little bit less maneuverable. You get some speed here. As that, as a launch. Oh snap! That's super fast. Man, yeah, this site's no joke, and it has some anti-aircraft rounds in there. See, that's coming at me. Yeah, these are super fast. So this is very dangerous. If you get launched by a KSAM, goodness, it's probably not going to be a good day for you. Alright, next, I'm going to go to the Mistral. It's another IR site. It's going to be over here. And I'll meet you over there by the Mistral. Alright, here we are outside the Mistral. It's a man-pad type of site. It's a mobile man-pad. It's a mobile man-pad handheld launcher. It's infrared, and they're down there. See the 4 of them right there. Well, there's one right there. So I just flared off of that one. I think I got away from it, I believe. It was a little late. But the typical engagement is 10,000 feet. And it's a all-aspect missile, so it could shoot at you head-on as well. To make sure that visually see the launches, though. I'll reset. Gonna extend this way. Gonna reset and come back around. Oh, something hit me. I didn't even see it. There's a launch. Went to idle. And it still hit me. I'll go over to the Stinger. The Stinger is a mobile handheld rocket, air-to-air rocket handheld. and it's by the U.S. It's optical IR, all aspect missile. Typical engagement is below 4,000 or 10,000 feet. So right here I'll be at 5,000 feet. These are usually around airfields and some protecting some SAM sites. So just in case you want to get too close to them. If I could see them here. Yeah, I do see them on there. You see them? I do see the 3 little dudes on there. I'm gonna come this way so I could see the launch. So I'm in the range for the most part. If I see any launches. The launch over there.
Chaff, flare. Chaff, flare.
Got away from that. Don't see any launches from them. Oh, that was them. So that was them right there. They're a little closer to the green than I expected.
Chaff, flare.
There was a missile launch right there. Got away from that. Remember, go to idle and then some flares. There's a launch,
Chaff,
idle,
flare.
and it hit me. It was quick. That was a quick one there. All right, now we're gonna move on to the LAV-AD mobile, basically like a APC with the stinger on top of it. So I'll meet you over there. All right, here we are, 4 miles away from the LAV stingers. So these are basically APCs. They have stinger missiles, so they're mobile, and they use the same missiles as the stingers. Typical engagement is about 10,000 feet. Gun range has guns 8,000 feet for the gun range, and the flare vulnerability is very low. So keep that in mind. And there goes off some stuff. I'm gonna do some
flare, low.
flares there. So that's all my flares. We'll go to bypass. Got 3 more flares left. There's a launch right there. I'm gonna do my flares, and that's out. That's it. So I'll see you guys in the TacVIew and go over this mission here. Alright, in TacVIew, first we were going, it was the Avenger, or the Skyguard that I was going after. So the Avenger, it's just it's infrared missiles, and it makes you idle and do chaff or flare. So this is the Skyguard, and it's a radar missile. So you have to make sure you chaff to get away from it and maneuver enough to make it have to try to chase you. So with that, it hit me, even though I did some chaff. That it missed me about 3 miles away on that. Then I move on to the next one. Oh no, I go back over it again at a higher altitude. And it hits me coming down. I try to maneuver it by descending. Still seems to hit me. And I come back around for another shot. And it actually does. No, I descend a little bit to see if it'll get me. And I did that. It missed. Didn't even track on that one. Come back around, and it tracked on that. So it's about 2.5, about 3 miles, and then it shoots at me, and I try to get away from it by turning cold and popping off chaff. Another launch hits me as well. I'm pulling about 6 Gs, 6.4 Gs. And I come back a little higher, and going after the Hawk now. So here's the Hawk site where it comes up as 50 and 55 on the RWR, and then it has the H, and then that's when you know the fire control radar is coming after you. So this, I turned away from it. I went cold away from it to pull it out of its employment zone, try to get its max range, so it's unable to continue to follow you. So I get launched at 12 miles. I kind of beam it a little bit, put it on my 9 line, or my 3 in this case, and turn away from it. I'm coming back in. I'm at 20,000 feet. Coming back in, keep an eye on the for launches, and it launches at me at about 9 miles, and I dive, and it misses me. It loses me with either just my maneuvers. Didn't really go after the chaff, so this depends on how much maneuvers you're doing. I pull 5 Gs, 6 Gs, 7 Gs, 8 Gs on this turn. Seems like it probably lost me right about here, and was unable to continue pulling up to get me. Came back, another launch about 8 miles, trying to go do the same thing, and it hits me on that one. And I come really low, and this is when it just eats me up. So if you're really close to it, the only way to probably get away from it is either, well, one way is to terrain mask, basically get terrain between you and the target site, or between you and the radar site, and it's unable to actually lock onto you. So I think on here, it was a combination of probably 2 things. The missile was unable to turn. It's pulling 15 Gs right here. It was unable to turn to intercept me, and there might have been some mountains around here as well. But it looks like it still tried to intercept, pull a lead on me there. So just unable to keep up. And here is the M2A2, and the Avenger is in there as well, so it's a little bit of both. Kind of hard to tell which one shot at me. I think the M2A2 shot at me here. Let's see, what does it say? The Stinger, so it uses the same thing as a Stinger. The Avenger probably shot at me that one. Yeah, the Avenger shot at me on that one. The M2A2 is one of these right here. So the Avenger shot at me on that one. I was still able to use the same tactics when it comes to infrared missiles. Just go to idle and pop off some flares, and it should miss you. That one got me. I didn't even see that one. I'm just going around trying to get this sight to shoot at me. I'm about at 8,600 feet. It's well within the range. That it misses me with all those flares. Go really low. Might have been an M2. Let's see. The missile go. There it is. Go back. Nope, it was from the Avengers again. At 2,400 feet right now, pretty low. Gonna reset and come back around. Back around, and didn't even track on that one. That one, I seem to have dodged it. It hit the, went after the flares, it seems like. Yeah, it went straight after the flare. Look at that. Straight after the flare. And I reset, fly over one more time. It hit me on that one, even though I did do flare, so it just depends on the situation and the your aspect, basically. I moved on to the let's see, the KSAM, a Chunma. This is a dangerous little bugger here. This one I'm at 10,000 feet. Launches at me. This is the fast one. The maximum speed is like 3.1 Mach. So here, speed is at 2.8 already. And it goes all the way up to about 3.1, 3.2. So speed goes all the way up to 3.2 and it hits you in like 3 seconds. So nothing you can really do except for, number one, not get shot, and two, terrain mass. Try to see if you can get some terrain between you and the radar site. So it hits me on that too. Managed to dodge this one. So I guess it doesn't seem like it really tracked truly. But tracked for a little bit and then it kind of lost me. But that one got me, like right after, so I'll be dead anyway. As you see, there's a little mountain here, so I try to hide behind this little mountain on some of the engagements. So that one got me. That one got me. That one hit the mountain. I was able to dodge that one. Dodge that one from the mountain. I reset and come back around a little higher, see if I can get it off me. So it goes straight up, and I was able to dodge that one. Pulled 6 Gs, 5.4 Gs. I was able to outturn this one. Then the second missile comes in, doesn't track either. So I was able to get away from both of those launches. So that one I was unable to get away from that because it's pretty quick, and that one as well. I'm going pretty slow as well, so that didn't help either. And it has the anti-aircraft fire. That one, oh, that was weird. Just went right over me on that one. Yeah, it didn't really track. That one got me. About half a mile away. Oh, that was crazy. Yeah, that site's trying to get me. And after that, move on to the Stingers. Or the Mistrals. I move on to the Mistrals over here. And then the Stingers are over here. So I was able to dodge a few of those. The same thing, you just go idle and then you pop off some flares and it should get away from you. That's kind of it. I didn't really see them at first. I was at 6,000 feet. Kind of caught me by surprise on that. But it's just the same thing. And then the Stingers as well as the same thing. So I go back and forth. I didn't even see that launch. That's why I got hit. And then I got hit by that one as well, because it's a little less vulnerable to flares, so it's a little harder to get away from. But it is possible. And now I move on to the Stingers over here, the battalion with Stingers. That one seemed to go after went straight after straight after the flare on that one. So that goes straight after the flare. After I go to idle and pop up some flares, I fly right over the battalion, shooting at me with bullets and all kind of stuff. But I didn't even see that launch right there, so that's why I got hit. I missed as well. Just outside the range of those anti-air. Flying along. They're looking at me, but they're not shooting quite yet. There's a hit. I was really close, so I was really unable to react to that one. Move on to the LAV-ADs, these tracked vehicles. That one barely missed me. Went straight after I went to idle and pop off some flares. It went after the the flares there. Yep, right in between the flares. That goes after the flares, and I continue. See if I can get some more shots at me. Flying over it. See if I can get some more shots. Doesn't seem like nothing's really happening. I got one launch here. I didn't see this one, that's why I didn't really react, so I was unable to see that one. I come back around, reset, just make sure I could have a good tally on the line right here. Right here, I saw it, but I was still too late. It was like a few seconds after seeing it. I don't think it had any smoke. It only has smoke for a little bit, then it goes away. That's kind of it. So that's all for these blue 4 SAMs. It's coming up to the end. Should be finishing up with one more video. So stay tuned and make sure you subscribe.